Good. How are you?
Okay, we've got 11 o'clock, so we'll go ahead and get started. Coach Johnson, thanks for taking the time to join us. We've got media here from here in Georgia and also up that cover Navy that wishing to talk to you and congratulate you on your upcoming induction to the College Football Hall of Fame. So, Coach, if you could maybe start us off with a few remarks, then we'll take questions.
Okay. Well, good morning. It's as I've said before, it's a tremendous honor, and it's one that you don't achieve by yourself. Certainly, there's a large group of people who helped you get there. Former players, assistant coaches, certainly my family, my wife Susan, and daughter. They sacrificed a lot through the 40 years that I was coaching, moving around and doing different things. So as the end of it, at the culmination of that career, it's quite an honor to be voted in to a group that's very special.
We'll go ahead and open up for questions for Coach Johnson. If you could use the raise hand function in Zoom if you have a question, and we'll call on people individually, and we'll start with Zach Klein from WSB here in Atlanta.
Coach, good seeing you, my friend. Just your initial reaction when you got the call and the first thing you thought about.
Well, actually, I was a little surprised when I got the call because I thought that we would have been notified sooner. I knew that was the date that they were going to announce, who was in. So they had texted me from Tech and said that the new AD wanted to ask me some questions about Demarius or something, and did I have time at 11:30? And I said sure. So I was expecting the call to be about something else. And when he started asking about graphics and stats, I thought that was kind of weird. So I kind of figured it out, but not until he basically told me I was in.
Next up, Ken Segura from the AJC.
Hey, Paul. Congratulations. I'm glad we can talk personally. Yeah, I guess to follow up on that, like when you found it, was it? It's funny how I saw the video on Twitter, and your reaction was somewhat muted, I guess. Kind of what does it mean to you to be in this group of the very best coaches and players in the game? Well,
I think it puts in my mind, it kind of validates your career. I think that what you accomplished over that time frame at some different places, and just honored and excited to be in there, not just for me, but for everybody else that was involved. Right. I mean, certainly it wouldn't have happened without.
Hey, Kevin, good to see you. Good to see you.
Mike, I think you're muted.
That's a first. We get to tell him he's muted.
Is everybody there now?
I'm here. Yeah.
I'm not sure what's going on, Mike. I'll just jump in. Josh Aubrey, you want to go next?
Yeah, I appreciate it. Coach, congratulations. Obviously you got your head coaching start here in Statesboro at Georgia Southern. Can you kind of reflect on what being at Georgia Southern meant early with Irk, and then when you took over at Georgia Southern as the head coach?
Well, I think Georgia Southern certainly launched my coaching career. There's no question about it. I didn't even know if I wanted to coach college football. I had gotten out of college and went back to my high school where I'd played and coached, and was there for a couple of years, and then went to the junior college. And when I got offered a job at Georgia Southern for Coach Russell, my basic thought was, hey, I'll give it a try, because back then, as you well know, there wasn't a lot of money involved in it. And I could have made far more as a head high school coach in AD somewhere. And I remember telling Susan, I said, she told me to go ahead and do it. If I didn't, I'd regret, we could always go back the other way. And I told her, I said, well, we'll give it till I'm 30 and see what happens. And by then I was the offensive coordinator at the University of Hawaii. It had all kind of worked out. But we developed the basic offense at Georgia Southern that we ran for years and used. And we were very fortunate when I was there as an assistant. We had a great player in Tracy Ham who, rewrote pretty much every offensive record. And then when I went back as head coach, we had a bunch of guys, Greg Hill, J.R. Revere, Adrian Peterson, Chris Johnson. I mean, I can't even name all those guys that were really great players. And got started. So Statesboro is a special place. We enjoyed living there. The people were great. I think we fit in, and it was a big part in launching my career.
Sorry, everyone, for those muting issues that we had. I do please ask that unless you're asking a question, make sure you're muted on your end so we don't have another episode like that. And we'll go ahead and take next question from Rod McKenzie.
Hey, Paul, congratulations. You've been retired for, a few years now. Looking back, do you feel that was the right time to retire? And did you have any thoughts about maybe coming back somewhere?
Well, I don't know if you ever know the right time. Certainly I was fortunate in that I missed all the COVID stuff. And I'm not sure with the transfer portal and the NIL and all that stuff. It's a lot of fun for those guys right now. But, I miss the competition, and I miss the camaraderie with the staff and their families and the players and their families. And I've had a couple opportunities to come back in the last couple of years if I'd wanted to. But right now I'm satisfied playing a little golf and just kind of hanging out and spending time with the family.
Next up, Kelly Quinn.
Congratulations, Paul. I was just kind of curious. You've been a guy that's constantly spent your career kind of, I guess, pushing back on doubters, with your offense, with your ability to win at multiple levels. What is the level of satisfaction now to get recognized by the College Football Hall of Fame and get this honor?
Well, like I said, I think it just validates your career. And, I would push back because it was so much of it was just kind of, somebody says something and then everybody runs with it and they make it true. And that was frustrating, but, I never had any doubt. And we can win football games. I mean, I won football games running other offenses too when I first started coaching. So certainly we never changed because we never felt like we had to. We always had a success wherever we were, but the offense is just that. It's an offense. And I think no matter what you do, as long as you understand it and you can fix it, then you have a chance. And the thing about what we did, I think, gives you a chance to compete against maybe more talented teams, just with the nature of what you're doing, because you're not having to block everyone. And you can get some numbers advantages and angles advantages if you know how to fix it and know what to do with it. And through the years, the staff and I, when somebody would give us a problem, we'd usually try to figure it out and have an answer for it. But not always. I mean, it's like I always said, physical superiority cancels all theory sometimes. But, for the most part, I guess this validates what we did. And I'm just proud of the players and assistants and all that we won so many games.
Next question from Bill Wagner.
Coach, good to see you. Can you talk about your time at Navy? Obviously, you coached at a variety of levels. You coached at Georgia Southern, was 1AA at the time. Then you went out to Hawaii, but Navy was a service academy, and that was the one outlier in your career. The one time you were at a service academy, you were there as offensive coordinator under Charlie Weatherby. Then they brought you back as head coach because your option offense was what Navy needed. Can you just talk about your time at the Naval Academy?
Yeah, well, I greatly enjoyed my time there. I mean, certainly the academy is a special place, and we were very fortunate. We had a great run there. I mean, I was laughing at my daughter here. We were talking yesterday, I think, or whatever, and she said, "Dad, you remember after the first year at Navy, you told me in the house one time you'd died and gone to coaching hell." And we went in there, and I think they had won 3 games in 3 years. And that first year, we won our first game and our last game. And but after that, we never won less than 8 again, and won the Commander-in-Chief trophy every year and never lost to another academy. So we had a great run, and a lot of great memories there. I still stay in touch with a lot of the former players and a lot of the supporters. When it got announced on Monday, I had a lot of people call. I was stunned that Admiral Natter called me, who was in charge of the Atlantic Fleet when I was coaching there, that I got to know a little bit, and some of those guys. So it was a great time and a great experience, and that's certainly a special place as well.
Take next question from Bob Sochi.
Paul, congratulations.
Thank you, Bob. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. It's a little bit cooler here in Boston today than it is in Arizona. My question is actually related to Kelly's. I was thinking back to some of the conversations we had early in your career at Navy and the perceptions of option offense and the stereotypes that were spoken about. I'm curious now how you feel, not only with your induction into the Hall of Fame, but anybody that watches football on Sundays sees the most prolific passing attacks in the NFL, kind of validates something you said years ago, that the option offense could have a place at that level. We see elements of it almost in every game at that highest level. How does that make you feel as you've watched option offense kind of filter to the top?
Well, it doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, a few years ago, right after I'd retired, I had a chance to go up and visit with the Ravens a little bit and look at some of their run game and just kind of talk to them about some of the stuff. And you could see where it was going. I mean, and certainly they have a special guy in Lamar Jackson, so they do a lot of stuff to make him run the ball. But, the thing about it, everybody in football runs some form of option, whether they call it that or not. The zone reads are nothing more than an option, a two-way option. So it's football evolves. It comes around, and, it wouldn't surprise me at all at some point to see somebody back doing what we did. The problem with it is the perception. Everybody wants to beat it up, and it's like one of the funny things. They talk, well, you can't recruit with that. You can't, and facts doesn't bother them. I mean, they don't matter to look at the facts. It's like, I find it interesting that like at Georgia Tech, for instance, we couldn't recruit. We didn't like to recruit. The offense. We didn't do this. All of it was a bunch of bull. And if you go back and you look at the recruiting rankings at Georgia Tech, before us, after us, they're right in the range. They're all the same. So it's like that narrative would be dispelled, except for it's not dispelled because people want to use it. The other one is that you cut blocked all the time. All you did was dive at people's legs or whatever, which is another one that's not true. So. But if people say it enough, I guess it becomes fact. And that's what was frustrating, some stuff like that. I mean, I never had any doubt the offense worked. I mean, we had proof out on the field by scoring and winning games and doing those kind of things.
Appreciate it, Paul. Thanks. Congrats again.
We'll go ahead and take another one from Ken Segura.
Paul, I'm curious, do you have a favorite game and maybe one that you wish you could have back?
Oh gosh, over the span of 20 odd years, there's probably a lot of games that I wish we had back. Possibly the best football team I ever coached was our 1998 Georgia Southern team. We averaged over 50 points a game. We were 13-0 or 14-0 going into the championship game. And we got in the championship game and turned the ball over 7 times, and it was just fluke. I mean, dropping snaps, it just hadn't happened all year, and we lost the game. I think we scored every time we didn't turn the ball over, scored a touchdown. And that game would be one that sticks to mind. Now, we were lucky enough to come back and win the championship the next 2 years, but that would be one. Certainly, and this is funny because it doesn't matter. Another one's at Navy when we played Boston College and Matt Ryan in the bowl game in Charlotte. We lost in the last play of the game. They kicked a field goal, and we had the ball running out the clock and it made a first down. They called us for holding and backed it up, and we called an option play and told the quarterback not to pitch the ball, but he pitched the ball. and the guy dropped it and they got it and went in. And that one, I wouldn't have given that option if I had it to do over again.
As far as games you savor, I know you're someone who focuses on the losses.
Well, I'd have to think about the ones too. I mean, you remember the ones that you lost. I remember at Georgia when we missed an extra point up in Athens one time that would have tied the game up late in the fourth quarter. You know, you have some of those. It's like you'd have to go back and look, but there's you know, probably multiple games on both sides that you'd like to replay over. But the ones you lost stick in your mind more than the other way. Certainly, I think about the top of my head, I guess, the game we won in Athens when Harrison Butker made the long field goal, and then DJ White picked the ball after we missed or got the extra point blocked again in overtime. And I thought, here we go again, because we had, you know, done that up there before. But to the kid's credit, DJ came up with a great play and pulled it out.
We'll go ahead and take one here from Pat Donahue. Pat, I think you're muted.
All right, Coach, can you hear me now?
I can now. They teach you how to work that thing, Pat.
No, you know, I only have a physics degree from Georgia Southern, Coach. I don't know how to work this high-tech stuff.
There you go.
First of all, congratulations. It's a great honor. Secondly, my attorneys have advised me that you are eligible to join us in Vegas the next time we go out there if you want to come play a few hands of blackjack with us. And I always want to figure out, what did you take from your years under Irk when you were thinking about when you wanted to be a head coach and you're working under Irk? Were there certain things under him that you saw as that that's what I would like to do, or I would do it, but I would do it my certain way? Were there certain things in the way that Irk set up stuff or just handled people that you saw as a young coach that you went, one day I want to do it that way, or I want to do it that way, but with my own twist?
Well, I mean, certainly Coach Russell was a great coach. Probably the biggest thing I learned from him, in all honesty, is you got to be yourself. And, you know, there was never going to be another Irk Russell. I mean, his mannerisms, the way he did things. And if somebody else had tried that stuff, they'd have gotten laughed out of the, you know, the building or whatever. But he could pull it off. And the thing about it is I think he had this image and reputation of being this big tough guy, and he was exactly the opposite. I mean, he was totally the opposite. And you know, I don't think I don't know if I ever heard him yell at anybody, or you know, discipline wise, we would be harder on the guys than he was, you know. But he had that knack that they knew that he cared about them, and he was comfortable in his own skin. He could be himself. And that's probably the biggest thing when I started coaching is I learned, hey, be yourself. And then he gave me some advice probably the second game I was a head coach. You know, when you get that first head coaching job, you try to set it up like everybody else. And, you know, you got your coordinators and you got everything set up. And he came out to the practice field. He'd been over at Snooki's. And he walked over there and he's sitting on his car watching practice. And he walked up to me and he goes, "What are you doing?" And, you know, I was running around between drills and watching everything and, you know, doing this. And I said, "What do you mean, Coach?" He said, "Get over there and coach those quarterbacks and call the offense." He said, "That's what you're good at. That's why you got this job. Go help the team." And I thought about it. So the next game we were playing at App State, and our quarterback breaks his hand on the first play, and we had to put Greg Hill in. And I told the guys, I said, "I got it." And from that point on, I called every play the whole time I was a head coach. So, and did the offensive game plan and that kind of thing. And so, you know, had he not said that, I don't know how long. I think I would have probably figured it out eventually. But because I would stand on the sidelines and go, you know, I wouldn't say anything, but I'd be like, "Dang, why did we call that?" Or "Why did we do this?" Or, whatever. And I figured out you could do both. You didn't have to just stand over there like a log and watch the game. You could be involved and do both.
All right, time for a few more with Coach Johnson here. We'll take another one from Zach Klein.
A day in the life of Paul Johnson is now what?
Well, it depends on the day. You know, this morning, probably Paul Johnson day is going to be, we'll do this. I'll go walk the dog, and more than likely I'll go to the horse track. But, you know, some days, like in the summer, we play golf about 4 or 5 times a week. We've got a good group. You know, Mike Smith, who was the former coach of the Falcons, is up there in well, he's in Tennessee right across the line, but he lives up there, and he and I have been friends forever. Kevin O'Connor, who was the GM of the Utah Jazz, is there. So we've got a pretty good Mickey Bell, who played at Carolina. There's a bunch of guys, and we play golf 4 or 5 times a week, and we go out and, you know, to dinner a lot with our wives, and it's a pretty good group. I'm just kind of getting settled in here in Arizona. We're trying it out. I kind of thought we'd be in Florida for the winters, but I got outvoted because our daughter's here in Arizona. So we're making a trial run here, and we'll see how this goes. We'll be here for 3 months, and then we'll just see. But it's, you know, there's no set day. I mean, you kind of get up, and I found that you know, when I was coaching, sometimes it's hard to sleep or whatever. You get things on your mind, and I could go into the office early, and I could get more done before everybody got there than when, you know, once everybody gets there, you're kind of tied up all day. And so that's the difference. My wife would always tell me, because I'd get up early, and it would drive her crazy. And so she's got me in her mode now. Sometimes I'll stay in the bed in the morning a little bit, at least till 8.
And real quick follow-up, better calling offensive plays or picking ponies?
Do what now?
Real quick follow-up, better calling offensive plays or picking the horses?
Oh, definitely probably calling plays. I'm not too good. I was pretty good at Navy with the horses because I got to know the trainers and the managers at Pimlico and Laurel, and they give you a tip every once in a while.
Another one from Josh Aubrey.
Hey, Coach, got 2 quick ones. One, you mentioned Coach Russell, you know, your thoughts on him not being eligible for the College Football Hall of Fame.
Well, you know, I guess they have to set the rules in some manner, and you know, that's probably above my pay grade. Certainly he would be deserving. I mean, you look at what he accomplished and all he did, but you know, I guess they have to have a set of rules, or else, you know, it would make it impossible for them. So certainly he would be deserving to be in. There's no question about that.
And then secondly, I know a lot of people talk to you about coaching. You know, obviously you're beloved down here in Statesboro, and your name has actually come up a lot as a possibility for an athletic director's spot. Would you entertain that at all?
No, I think I'd rather stick my hand in a fire than do that. You know, I thought about before, if I was going to get back into coaching, I was approached about that too. And, you know, I think it'd probably be like marrying the same woman twice. You probably been there, done that. And, you know, we have some great memories there. And somebody was telling me when they were looking for a coach, they said, you know, you're revered down here. You know, they'll build a statue for you. I said, yeah, and they'll tear it down after the first game we lose. So it's, you know, it was great. We love Statesboro. In fact, you know, I told my wife that's one of the places, if it was a little warmer, I could spend the winter, because I really enjoyed the people there. And, you know, we had a great golf group out there at Forest Heights that played, and this, that, and the other. So it's, you know, it's a special place, but I don't think athletic director is for me. One time I really thought I wanted to do it. When I was coaching, and I guess when I had some bad ones, but you know, because I enjoy all the other sports, and I thought, you know, this would be fun to, you know, you could be involved in basketball and baseball and all the other sports, but once you see how the sausage made and the inner workings, it's that's a tough job. And I think that they've got a good one now there at Georgia Southern now. I think he's really sharp, and hopefully they can hang on to him for a while.
Okay, we'll go ahead and take the last three that we have in queue here, starting with Kelly Quinlan.
Hey, Coach. When you look back at coaching, kind of what is the biggest thing that you miss overall? Is it that competition on Saturdays? Is it the chess matches you like to talk about it with figuring out your offense versus defensive coordinator? What is the thing that you miss the most about coaching right now?
No, I think the thing I miss the most, the relationship with the players and the staff. I mean, that's what you spend so much time together, and you miss that. And certainly I miss the competition and adjustments and those kind of things. I always looked at that as the whole game, as being able to go in and adjust and do those things on the move. And I certainly enjoyed that part of it, but the relationship with the players and the assistant coaches, and I found I stay in touch with so many of the former players, and I was so fortunate. I mean, I got just a flood of guys from really all three schools that played, reached out when the announcement came out, and so that's what you miss the most, I think.
Next one from Bill Wagner.
Coach, you have a tough decision to make. The National Football Foundation and College Football Hall of Fame does a on-campus salute for all of the honorees. And as you've detailed here on this call, you have fond memories of all your stops. You were at Georgia Southern as both an assistant and a head coach, Navy as an assistant and a head coach, and you spent the longest time as a head coach at Georgia Tech. And I don't expect you to answer or choose right now, but can you talk about how difficult a decision that it's going to be to wear to have your on-campus salute?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that would be. I hadn't thought about it, but that's probably something that they will decide, I would think. And wherever, I'm just happy to do whatever I can. We talked about at Georgia Southern, they tried to get me down there this fall to do some stuff even before this came out, and we just couldn't work it out on the schedule. And I've talked to people at Navy the same way, so I'm sure we'll work it out, with something, ever how they do it, and which would be appropriate for everybody.
And final question from Pat Donahue. Pat, muted.
Yeah, there we go. Can you hear me? Good.
Yep.
All right, Coach. We're going to end this on a lighter note. And by the way, thanks for bringing up '98 championship game. That wound hasn't healed yet. But Grand Ole Opry, or do you now have a favorite opera?
I couldn't tell you the names of the operas that I've been to, but I prefer the ones in English that I can understand. And I think that's starting to wind down a little bit too. Our daughter's been married for a year now, and she just finished all her work for a doctorate yesterday. She's actually teaching at Grand Canyon University vocal performance. And, I think she's about ready to start a family, and with all that opera, that travel and the stuff. So I think that's going to get cut way back. So, but you got to like them both, I guess. Got to be a well-rounded.
Are you ready to be a grandfather then at some point?
I think so. I think that'd be pretty cool. Everybody tells me that's the best club you can join, the grandfather club.
All right, Coach, thanks for taking the time to do this. Appreciate it. Everyone, thank you for jumping on the call this morning. Hope everybody has a great day.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, guys. Good to see y'all.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.